Day 1. This is the Colonel's Journal for Day 1 from Eco. In just 30 days' time, an asteroid is going to impact this planet, wiping out, well, probably all life, and generally just making a mess. Meanwhile, my bold comrades from Bad Company and I have to try and change the world from being Stone Age, as it largely is now, into being a modern, technologically rich society with a government and laws and currency, and most importantly, some ground-based lasers in order to shoot down the meteor. Now, as you can see, oh dear, well, one of us has just jumped off the edge. As you can see, we are equipped with little more than stone implements at the current time, and the first order of business is to figure out where it is that we're actually going to build our settlement. Now, having experienced a little of this world for myself previously, I know all too well that food is going to be of vital importance, so I'm arbitrarily picking berries and ferns along the way just to keep myself topped up there. But that in itself is not going to be enough. We're going to need a sophisticated diet if we're going to make the most out of this world, and and someone's got to have to deal with that, and based on conversations as to who's going to be dealing with which skills, it seems that I'm going to be the one looking after the farming. Now, that's not my natural habitat. I tend to be a builder rather than a farmer, but I'll do it. Nobody else wants it. I'll take care of farming. The one thing I do know is that once we start dealing in currency, these fools are going to regret having offered me the job of feeding everybody, because I'm going to gouge the hell out of the prices, and hopefully that will be sufficient to ensure that not only am I protected from the meteor as the builders out there stick together a space laser, but also I live in the most luxurious accommodation imaginable, and I'm very, very wealthy indeed. Anyway, this looks like as good a spot as any in which to call home. As is frequently the case in a survival environment, the first thing to do is to, well, cut down some trees. The only downside to this is that in the world of eco, everything you do to the environment may well come back to haunt you. Because eco, as the name suggests, is a game all about preserving the ecology of the planet, and therefore you want to be a little careful about just how much damage you do on your journey to saving the world from the meteor. You want to make sure you don't wreck it along the way just by egregiously murdering the countryside. As you can see, this is pretty lush area, plenty of forested goodness that can be exploited as we go. The other thing to bear in mind, of course, is that the likes of iron ore and oil and copper and other resources that you're going to need, they're not spread equally throughout the landscape. Surveying must be done in order to find the materials that you're going to need in order to bid for survival. Now, as the farmer of the unit, my goal is going to be to provide as much food as possible. And again, everything won't grow necessarily in one place. I'm going to have to figure out exactly where I can grow tomatoes or corn or huckleberries or, I don't know, ferns, beans, rice, all of that other stuff in order to create a meal worthy of potential planet savers. And this area here I've staked out because it does have reasonably fertile soil for the growing of corn. And this will make for a fine house for the future entrepreneurial leader of this particular group. The skill system works where you don't grind in order to earn your skills. Instead, it's time that will enable you to become more skillful. And in this first instance, I'm going to take a couple of points in gathering, just purely so that when I pick up seeds or plants from the wilderness, I get a little more of them than if I had no skill in it at all. This should enable me to help feed the rest of the company while we get established, but if you can see in the bottom left there, I haven't got a whole lot of skill points left. I'm just going to have to wait for them to build up. Now, you can improve your skill point gain if you invest in a healthy diet, a healthy and balanced diet, I should say, and you have a house that is worthy of note. Will make all the difference. Now, I'm not going to be house building. That's going to be down to somebody else. I don't have the skill points for it. But I will have a few fundamentals just in order to keep myself ticking over as I start to build a house up. Yes, time is very much a key factor in this game. The asteroid's going to hit you in 30 days, and you have to earn the skills to build the bits of equipment that you need in order to be able to combat it successfully. Pulling together a house and an effective diet is not something you're going to do on yourself. You are going to need the assistance of friends. And hopefully, the chums that I've chosen to come on this journey with me have got their wits about them and intend to be suitably active. Anyway, in order to keep them fed, to start with, I'm delivering my food for free. Not that I have much choice in the matter. We don't actually have currency to speak of just yet, but we'll figure that out as we go. Mention has been made of the log dollar, which I'm not completely sold on, given that we've already got one person who is going to specialise in logging, and given that everybody is currently building up the resources necessary to stick a house together, I imagine that logs are going to be somewhat in demand. That was an elk there. Just generally wandering through the landscape. We've got someone who's declared themselves a hunter, but we're going to have to be very careful that we don't hunt things to extinction. As you can see, the logging team here have already made quite a bit of progress on their houses, making me look like something of a hobo, given that I've been working on, I don't know, gathering food, ploughing fields, you know, the useful stuff that everybody's going to benefit from, rather than just building. I'm just going to help myself to some logs. You know, I'm sure they won't mind. Yeah. I mean, they'd do the same. So it's time to get underway with actually putting a house together. Now, I want to be waterside, because later on I'll be able to mill flour once I've got a water wheel, and I don't really have the resources to build anything too extravagant to start with, so a very straightforward little L-shaped box is going to be sufficient, and even then I'm not convinced I've got enough resources for it. Everybody else seems to be employing the same tactics, which for day one is pretty understandable. The hard charge towards skill gain and the growth of everything that people are working on is going to come over time. In the meantime, it's all about, well, I mean, mass deforestation, I suppose is one way to describe it. You know how I was talking a minute ago about maybe not ruining the ecology of the planet? Well, we're not too bothered about that on day one. On day one, basically, if you can see it, hack it down and then turn it into a house of some description. And then, all being well, we'll be able to actually gain enough skill to build the necessary odds and ends that we're actually going to need. Well, one would hope so. Anyway, this series is going to continue on a daily basis. Just a short missive from the front lines of the war against the meteor death certainty. And as I plough my field here. I mean, get used to this view, ploughing and replanting seeds. I've actually got no idea whether all these seeds are going to work here or not, so in the first instance, I'm just going to bang in everything and see what we get. There is some data sourcing available that will help us know what world populations are looking like. But we haven't looked at those yet. I'm pretty certain we're going to have enough of everything just to get us started, but we'll see as we go. Anyway, tools repaired, do a little bit more hoeing. I hoe, therefore I am. And I suggest you subscribe to this series so you can see how we get on in dealing with the menace from space. I'm sure we'll be fine. Fling a like at this one if you enjoyed it, and I mean, if you want to join the server, we're a few days in now, then join up with Bad Company and you'll be able to get in on the action. As soon as we've lost this series, we'll probably start another one. Cheerio!